Hey guys, welcome back to our farm. My name is Kylie Gray, and today we're doing a kitchen day because, well, one, I need to make bread because if you watched my last video, it was the Azure, maybe one of my last videos, it was the Azure grocery haul. It's the first time I've used it. And I told you we were drastically changing how we're eating, and I had specified that I'm not cutting out a lot. I'm not cutting out sugar. I'm not just saying, no, we're not having sugar anymore. When you're changing the way you are, we're getting rid of a ton of processed foods already, convenience foods, even like breads and stuff. And that's what I'm working on today, is just getting some breads made and some flour ground and ready for this week. I typically make any like breakfast breads or sweet breads or like quick breads, I think they're called, like the banana bread or pumpkin breads and stuff like that. And what I did a few weeks ago was made 4 loaves of pumpkin bread, put them in, half of them in the freezer, and then had 2 loaves for the boys to have for breakfast. So we have 3 children, it's my husband and I, and so I'm definitely not going crazy extreme, like cutting out a bunch of crap. We're like switching the way we eat, and the main thing I'm switching right now is bread. If you look at the back of the ingredients of bread, like sliced store-bought bread, even like nutritional bread like Dave's Killer bread, there's like a bazillion ingredients within that bread, and I'm just trying to cut back on the amount of processed convenience foods that we take into our family because we are drastically changing the way we eat. We've been homesteaders for a few years now, but it hasn't really been, it's been a slow progression on how you don't just, at least for our family, we just didn't decide, oh, I'm gonna be a homesteader, I'm gonna grow a lot of my own food, and boom, the next day, no processed foods, no fast food, no convenience foods, no buying dino nuggets from Costco. Like, we didn't just up and change drastically, and we're still not, but we've had a push in momentum in this way recently, and this is how we're going about it. So how I'm doing it is we're not cutting out sugars. I am switching to like a organic cane sugar instead. You can get it at Azure, but the best price I found is at Costco. So that's what I've been using for like sweetening things. We also do honey, doing a lot of more natural style sweeteners, not a lot of processed stuff is the goal right now. Eventually, you never know where it's going to lead to, but we're just getting some healthier options going for the family. And this is how I'm doing it. So I got my Vitamix here. I have a new tripod, so I'm going to be trying it out. Well, I've had it for a few videos. I've always said my kitchen is not great for filming, but we will figure this one out, people, together. I have my wheat berries and I got my Vitamix. This is my first time using the Vitamix for this. My sister ground this up for me, which is my winter wheat berries, whole wheat berries, and I've been using this, but we're running low, so I need some more. And so I'm gonna do it myself. So they do make a grain one. This is just the regular. You maybe should use the grain one. I'm just gonna use the regular one because that's what I have for now. If I like this, doing it this way, I'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get the grain blender, or maybe I'll get an actual grain mill. Who knows? But right now, this is what I'm using. Okay, so we're gonna try this out here. We're gonna move you down so you can see right there. All right, swap that in. I think I need to call my sister. Okay, so I just called my sister and she told me 2 to 3 cups is what she's done. She also has started using this guy in here and puts it on full speed right away. So let's give that a whirl. Flour. Okay. Makes me happy because this is what she gave me and I was like, is my Vitamix defaulty? Oh, okay. Perfect. Also, I just want to make this caveat. This flour we are going to be using, my son actually, my oldest son, he's 11, he's going to be 12. He's been making our daily bread. And we've been using all-purpose flour. So because we are just transitioning into making a lot of our own loaves, I've made bread a lot before. This is not my first rodeo, but I haven't made it as a staple in the family, if that makes sense. It's like a treat. On like a winter day, I'd whip up a loaf or something. And anyway, so I'm just grinding this whole wheat flour. It is the winter red wheat. And I'm just grinding it up we're incorporating it into our daily loaf, which is like an artisan loaf. It's just really simple, 4-ingredient bread, no sugar, just very, very simple. And so this flour, what we've been doing, because we've been making our daily loaf for 2 weeks now. We started with just regular unbleached flour. You can get organic, Costco, well, whatever. But you could even just use bleach flour if that's all you have. Do what you can afford, because this is going to start saving us money, and the more and more inflation that is happening, I know that as the main grocery shopper in the family, it's very obvious to see where the prices of groceries are going. So not only are we doing this for health, but for cost, it benefits that. So what I was saying, we've been doing the daily loaf for 2 weeks, and we've just been using all-purpose flour, and then yesterday's loaf, we mixed in, it uses like 3 cups, 3¼ cup. We used 1 cup of whole wheat flour. I'll show you. This is a little guy because it had some issues, but it's gone. This is what's left. And this is the coloring of just 1 cup of whole wheat flour and the other 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And I think especially with a family like mine who's gradually getting into this, for me, we're just slowly adding the whole wheat. And I tried to get whole wheat white berries, or the whole white berries, but they were sold out, so I did not get those. But we do have this. All right, we're going to add some more. Got our lid. Cool. I've been doing 3 cups at a time, and I just want to kind of fill up my jar basically, so I don't have to do this every single time we have a bread day. This will last us quite a bit, especially since we're cutting it with all-purpose. Oh! Okay, so that took a couple minutes. It's pretty awesome. So this is freshly ground. Look at how you can see the colors in there. It's so beautiful. Freshly ground whole wheat. I ground myself. It's so cool. Okay. Oh my stars. So I got these big jars so I could hold my wheat berries. I had these small canisters, but I'm going to actually use these in my pantry. If you saw some jars down here, this is like my jar shelf. It's out of control. I've been canning more, and since we've been done with milk for a few weeks because our dairy cows dried up, I got all these extra jars here, and it's out of control. I need to organize it today as part of my kitchen day. It's just, so if you see a bunch of jars on the ground, that's why. Today's tripod is brought to you by the new tripod and also a milk bucket. It's multi-purpose. I'm gonna get my bread bowl. The daily bread recipe we've been using, I just put on, post it in the cupboard so my son can just open up the cupboard, and that's where we bake. We have a mixer and baking stuff all right here, so he just bakes away. It's from Becky's Acre Homestead, the Scratch Pantry. So one thing I love about it, it's 4 ingredients. It is an overnight recipe. So I am actually going to, today's recipe, I'm not going to use it. This recipe is like a quicker, it's like a 30-minute. We didn't start our daily loaf yesterday. This is a 30-minute, ready in 30-minute recipe. It's a little chilly in our house. We heat with a wood stove, so the part of this house is, the kitchen's a little cooler. So it might take like an hour, or I could set it by the wood stove and it would be ready in like 10 minutes. But anyway, we've been using Becky's. We really like that. But if we forget to do it the night before, because Sunday night, we just tend to just take a rest. I've been making this other bread, or one of my friends has been making a daily loaf for a while, and she uses a recipe from Ginny Can Cook. So that's the recipe we're actually going to use today. Dutch oven bread. It's super easy. I'll link it below, but it's basically three cups of all-purpose flour, which I said I've been substituting a cup, 1 teaspoon of yeast, or 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 cups of hot water, and that is it. So it's really simple and it's really delicious. So that's what I'm gonna whip up really quick. I keep my yeast in the freezer. It keeps it fresher longer. So I've had this for a while, but because it's in the freezer, it keeps it, and it's still alive, because you can tell if your bread doesn't rise, you don't have your yeast is dead. Spoon of salt. Teaspoon of salt. I don't have this recipe memorized very good. 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. I've actually had this yeast for, I think, since 2020, when the yeast was, that's like 3 years old, and it still works good. So, freezer. We will be flying through that yeast now, because making bread every day. And I'm not very good at sourdough. One day, maybe I'll get there, but right now, let me just get this bread under control and figure out our eating and all the things. And my sister's working on sourdough and perfecting it. She's on the struggle bus with that, but she's working at it. She's not giving up. All right, so I got 1.5 cups. It's not boiling, but it wants hot water. I'll just dump this whole thing in. Got my dough whisk. And you want the dough to be shaggy. Everything's incorporated. Shaggy dough. She also tells you to aerate the flour. Sure. You can do that if you want. Because this is going to sit out just for 30 or so, there's shaggy dough. It's not like a perfect dough ball. You're not kneading it. It's a no-knead bread. It's just purely simple. You're going to use some more flour once you get in there, and I'll show you back in a little bit. Okay, so this bread, I'm going to just cover with a flour sack towel. If it's overnight, I have found, if you don't want a crusty layer, I'll do plastic wrap, or Elle will, and he'll put plastic wrap over it or down over on the dough, just so it doesn't get crusty, because that's what happened with this loaf. We forgot to put plastic wrap over it. We just did the tea towel thinking we'd bake it that day, but we didn't. And I had to I peeled off the crust. I mean, I'm sure you could bake with it. It'd probably just give you weird texture, and it wasn't worth it. So anyway, flour sack towel for now. These are my favorite towels. I'm sure you could use any flour sack towel, but they're from Magnolia. They're pretty affordable, like for less than $4 a towel. You can get them at Target. I don't shop at Target much at all, but if I'm at Target, I'm going to get some flour towels because I love them so dang much. I have not done one of these big days. This is a new thing for me. I've done it, the daily bread every day, and then I've done some quick breads, the pumpkin breads, in a day, but like different days, you know what I'm saying? This is the first day where I'm doing sandwich loaves, which I haven't made sandwich loaves. I have like the little bread things we're going to be using for the pumpkin breads. I'm going to preheat my oven. And so I got my egg bowl. If you have your own chickens, you will know about an egg bowl, because always check your eggs. crack my eggs in here, put my shells in here, they go out to the pigs. And this is my, so I got my recipe. This is a recipe that I've used once before. It's from Sugar Hero. It is a chocolate chip pumpkin loaf. You can times it by 3, which is what I did last time, and it made 4 loaves. Got my compost or animals. If your egg doesn't smell like anything, it's good. I need 9 eggs. So there's 1. And you do it 1 at a time, so that way, if you get a bad one, you don't ruin your whole recipe. These should be perfectly fine because they're very new. All right, we got 9 eggs. Need to get some pumpkin puree. It seems funny to make, I don't know, even myself, to have pumpkin in not the fall or winter. Well, it's barely spring, but we're under winter snowstorm warning again. We already had one. We did not get that 18 inches. We just got like 3, 4, hardly anything. And now we're under another one. So it wants 3 cups of pumpkin puree or 24 ounces. This is 29 ounces, so I just need a little less. I just eyeball it. That's what I'm gonna do. There's probably about 4 ounces. From the last time, I have a little baggie in my fridge. I'm just saving the little bit of extra in there. And then I'll be able to combine it. I'll put this in with it and not wasting anything here, folks. You could totally do this in a mixer. Calls for some vegetable oil. Now, a lot of people are anti-seed oils. Currently, I am not. I use what I have access to. And I need a cup because this is times 3. I feel like these measurements are different from what I used, but such is life. A cup and 3 tablespoons. A lot of people are very anti-seed oils. My motto is just use what you got. And if you can't afford to buy a lot of avocado oil or some other oil that is flavorless, just use what's affordable to you and what you have. And yeah. Got my whole cane sugar right here. If you just have regular white sugar, that's perfectly fine. Don't have to feel obligated. The difference between wet measuring cups and dry measuring cups, I use this for both. Whatever, you do you. Who cares? Unless you have wet ingredients and you're doing a lot of dry ingredients, then I do care. You don't want the wet to gunk up your dry. Okay, 2 1/4 cup. Keep in mind, this does make 4 loaves for me. You can get a 1/4 cup, or you could just eyeball a 1/4 cup in your cup. Whisk it in. Sugar with baking tends to go with the wet ingredients. Like when you make chocolate chip cookies, you put your butter in and your sugar, and then you do your eggs and your vanilla. So this recipe is the same. Oh, it's looking so beautiful. I am a messy baker. I'm a messy cook. I've told you guys this. I'm a messy gardener. I try and keep up. I had another big glass jar for my sugar so then I could get rid of all these jars, but then I had them shipped to me and one of the rims is broken, so I have to take that back and get a new one. And then I can have a bigger thing for my sugar. It just makes it easier. I find with I'm baking a lot at home, I need giant storage containers to keep my stuff in, so I don't have to refill it so much. I do keep a lot of my stuff in 5-gallon buckets. If you're a homesteader or somebody who likes to be prepared for all circumstances, if you live out in the boonies like I do, I think it's very wise. And also just in this time of life, I have an urgency to grow food as well as put up food. So it's all encompassing. All right, so I'm gonna do I like to do my flour last, besides the chocolate chips. They'll go last. So it wants baking powder, baking soda, salt, and pumpkin pie spice. I don't have pumpkin pie spice. I just make my own. So I need 1.5 teaspoons salt, 3/4 teaspoon baking soda, 6 teaspoons baking powder. Couldn't they like transfer that into like tablespoons? I don't know how many teaspoons equal a tablespoon. For pumpkin pie spice, if you don't have it, just make your own. It is super, super simple. It is what I like to use for mine. You can use whatever you like. I like a cinnamon, loaves, and it says 6 teaspoons of of pumpkin pie spice. So I am going to make sure this is cinnamon. I have a problem with not labeling jars because I was the only one baking in our house for so long that I know what my spices are by just smelling them or eyeballing them. Now I do miss up cinnamon and cocoa powder, which is why I needed this, but I've been having to label everything because my kids are starting to really enjoy learning the process of baking and cooking, and they're not like, they don't know what anything is. So I'm like, ah, frick, I gotta go through and label all my things so people will know. So I use a little bit of ginger, nutmeg, a little bit of cloves, cinnamon, you know, mainly cinnamon. Cloves are very powerful, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This is the part of the video where I completely jack up this recipe. I have made this recipe before. From this exact recipe, I just made it a little over a week ago, and I've made pumpkin bread numerous times. But for some reason, with me filming, this is my first time filming a batch cooking, that I completely spaced it and put in triple the amount of spices. It was so potent that I end up having to like triple my triple batch to make up for it. And it ends up being this calamity that I almost deleted all of this footage because I was so embarrassed. But I ended up keeping it in because I ended up posting this video, obviously, because of one of my kids' responses to this crazy amount of food. And I have a realization about what had transpired. So stay tuned in a little bit. Oh, shoot. Oh my gosh. I just did 6 tablespoons, not 6 teaspoons. Those stainless steel giant bowls are gonna come in handy. I gotta go doctor this up.
Hey, where'd you put that bread? No?
All right, I fixed it. I have this giant bowl, and I'm back at the step I was before. My kids are in here eating lunch in the background, but this is a triple batch of my triple batch. I don't want to talk about it. We're gonna have a lot of freezer bread. Good thing we have freezer space. Y'all like, oh geez, classic. Do you guys like having pumpkin bread?
Yes.
Yep. See? So good thing for that. You want to be in it?
Yeah.
My little ham. Not with your hot dog. Oh my gosh. My boys have been eating, they're growing a lot and they're eating a lot of food. And I bought the whole all beef hot dogs from Costco. This really grosses me out, but they will go in and get a cold hot dog and eat it as a snack. You fine with me sharing that?
Yeah.
They just need the protein. Pre-cooked hot dogs at least. Okay, now we need the flour. It's 500 cups.
500.
Well, basically, that's what I feel like I need. What do I need? A lot. Oh my gosh. I am gonna need some. This is out of control. This is gonna last us a year. I have a kid over here rejoicing. See, some airs are not too bad. Luckily, I'd like to tell you this is the biggest stainless steel bowl I own. It is not. Do you guys want, your dad had an idea today to invite some cousins over for a s'more night.
Yes. When? Or just like tonight?
No, I didn't. I said one night we need to look at the weather and see. It'll be after, so like at 7 o'clock maybe. Lacey and Daniel and Bethany and Aaron's families. Did Griffin text you, Al?
I don't have it.
He has yours. What are you doing? Hopefully it wasn't that peel. This is an obscene. Ow. This is crazy. I don't even know how to do this. Ugh. I don't even know how these are going to turn out because this should be a little more liquidy than what it is. So I was going to use my bread pans and it's going to take a bunch, but my oldest suggested I just use some casserole dishes. So that's what I did. This is a little less liquidy than what is normal. At this point we're just going with it. It'll taste good. The batter tastes good, so the bread will taste good. Just might be ginormously fluffy. And he said it'll just be like eating a brownie. Okay.
Fluffy brownie.
A fluffy brownie. Let's just hope it doesn't explode out over the edges. I have a ton of casserole dishes because we have a lot of family in the area and we always need them.
Did I look that good? Aren't you done with it?
Yes. This is a good idea, Elle. Holy smokes. Do you think these are going to turn out okay?
Yep.
You do? Are we going to have pumpkin bread for
every meal?
the rest of it? I don't think we could have it for every meal, but yes. A lot of meals. Or breakfasts. You guys are going to hate pumpkin bread.
That would never happen.
That would never happen. Never, never, never. Now the question is, how long are these going to take to bake? We'll put a 3-minute timer. This is not normally how I bake, but I didn't want to waste all those spices.
It's a way.
It is a way. You're right. Maybe not the most beautiful way. Normally you see when people put these type of videos on the internet, they are good at it.
Are you saying you're not good at it?
I would say I'm not good at filming myself on it. But I don't know, do I make a good food for you? Maybe. I do. So, am I good at it? I suppose I could be, right? Practice makes perfect. And we got a lot of mouths to feed. I am feeding an army, apparently. I have enough to make bread loaves. Some people probably would say it's faux pas to spray cast iron, but I do it every time and it works fine. If I'm already in the groove of spraying I only have one cast iron bread pan. If I'm already in the groove, I'm just going with it. this is like, just looking at this from a kid perspective, mom makes a big mistake, ends up making triple the amount she was supposed to make, and when I look at it and I'm filming, I'm like, should I even post this, because this is such a failure? But then I look at through my kid's eyes, and he's just over there cheering and so pumped up that I accidentally made way more than I needed to, and they'll have breakfasts forever with this, and coming up with strategies for me to improvise and how to make it quicker for mama to be done and not be so overwhelmed and feel stupid for messing up and putting triple the amount of spice in that needed. And you see it differently, and I think that I needed that. I needed to see that from my kid's perspective, of him just sitting here eating his world's largest burger and just really thankful and grateful that I messed up and questioning me. You don't think you're good at this? I know I'm good in the kitchen. I know that. I just was distracted with filming and messed up, and it turned out to be a happy accident, and hopefully they still turn out okay. The batter tastes good. Might not look the prettiest. Might have an obscene amount, but will it feed my boys? It certainly will. I found these stainless steel bowls. They've been on a, like, something I've been wanting to find. I garage sale, so I was thinking I'd find it at a garage sale, but I haven't. And then I found Ross, of all places, had them in this winter. This is so fun. And I was like, I need it for when I'm processing vegetables, like tomatoes or cabbages, and I'm shredding a bunch of cabbages or cutting up carrots. And when you're doing a big production day, these giant bowls come in so handy. And that's why this isn't my biggest one. This is my medium size. I have one that's a little bit smaller. But, or like baking stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that. We have a lot of family, I said, so it comes in handy to have something so crazy large, but mainly for processing all the foods I got. I'm moving some dough over from the other one. Righto. So I got my pumpkin bread. It is turning out to be like a cake. I'm sure I already told you that, but I just thought I'd let you know some more. It's like a cake, and it's in the oven. It's taking forever because it's thick. I realized I put way too much flour in it. Anyway, moral of the story is, to continue this bread baking day, we are going to make sandwich loaves from Mary's Nest. And if you've never watched Mary's Nest, let me highly recommend it. My dishwasher's going. Got dishes to be doing. It's a kitchen day. I told you, it's busy. Mary is a sweet lady. She's like, everybody in the world wants her to be her grandmother or their mother or what have you. She's very kind, very sweet, very knowledgeable. And in the video and in the recipe I'm going to be doing today, she talks about switching. This is exactly what I'm doing. This will be the title of this video. Switching processed foods kitchen to a more traditional foods kitchen. And that's what we're doing. We've already started this. We're into the game. It's just now it's really getting rid of the processed breads and stuff, and that's what we're working on today, if you haven't caught that drift yet. Okay, so I'm going to make this sandwich bread in my bowl here. I washed it from my things. I got like two more I got like another load of dishes to do before my dishes are done. It's kitchen day. Okay, so this is a no-knead sandwich loaf. So we have our no-knead artisan dinner bread loaf here, but this is for sandwiches. So yes, it's a lot of bread day. I got 2 loaf pans left. These are just my basic ones. I'm going to spray them. Actually, I don't even think I need these yet, because I gotta make my bread dough and it's gotta rise for an hour and a half or 2 hours is what Mary told me, so I better get to doing this. Welcome to crazy. It's a little darker over here in the corner you're in. Okay. Giant thing of flour. Got my bowl. Got my laptop with the ingredients. We're gonna get to town here, people. So I need 6 cups of flour. There is a little bit of sugar in here. Hold on. 4, 5, 6. There is a smidgen of sugar, but I think it'll be alright. I've been using these all day. 1 tablespoon of sea salt. This makes 2 sandwich loaves, and it has 1 tablespoon of sugar in it. Again, I'm using cane sugar. Use whatever you have on hand. She said you can use sucanat, which is like dehydrated cane juice, sugar juice. It's very expensive, but if that's what you're going for, feel free. Two and 1/4 teaspoon yeast. It is like a cake. Can you see it right there? That is one of them. And I have 3 of those, 2 bread loaves. Okay, the moral of my story is so it's calling for 1/4 a stick. She says to melt 1/4 of a stick of butter. Okay, not 1/4 cup. So it equals about 2 tablespoons. I have 1/4 cup melted. 3 cups warm water. This is filling up my bowl here, people. She said to just use a little wooden spoon. Said to use one of these bench scraper things. Scrape the bowl. Incorporate it. You want it to be shaggy, just like the other no-knead bread. Looks shaggy. It says to cover this with plastic wrap. Just stick, would ya? For the love. Doesn't want to. She says to stick this somewhere warm. I'm gonna go take it by my wood stove. Let it rise for a little bit. And my, you wanna see my pumpkin cake? Beautiful. This is the part of the recipe where you're instructed by Mary to grease up your hands. And know that I have been washing my hands every time between takes because I have a lot of goodness on it with between the flour and all the dough and all the junk that I've been making. I'm washing my hands diligently, but do you really want to see clips of me washing my hands 27 times? Probably not. So you got to grease your hands up so you can get into this dough and it doesn't stick to you. And you got to separate it in 2 and put it in 2 loaf pans. And that's what I'm doing. I'm in my kitchen, and because I'm already in here making a million breads, I pulled out, I didn't want to cook anything, so I pulled out, I did like, not really a freezer meal, but I cooked a ton of sloppy joes. My family, I think I used to make sloppy joes when Trey and I were first married, when it was just us. And for the first time a couple weeks ago, I made them for the kids, and it was just like God's gift to them. So I made them again the next week and made a double batch so I could freeze half of it to put away for a day I didn't want to cook. So this year's goal is to do that. And as we're in a winter storm warning, but as the ground starts becoming spring, the more I make things. Like if I'm having a bake day, it's nice to have like a meal that's in the freezer that I could pop out, easily unthaw, get it going. But because I'm already making bread, I need buns. And because we're not doing convenience foods, I'm not gonna run to the store and go get buns like I would have. I'm gonna make my own buns. So that is what I'm doing. I'm gonna use my mixer. I got my yeast blooming, whatever it's supposed to do. I've never made hamburger buns. This is the first. I'm just gonna kind of tell you, I'm using Mary's Nest recipe. I found it. I'll link it below. I'll let you know how they turn out. My pumpkin cakes all turned out great. They're very good. I tried one myself and they're tasty. They're just very thick, and I'm cutting them up into little squares, and it'll be like a muffin so the boys can just grab it out of like the freezer, or I can grab like a pack out and have it unthawing, and I'm just cutting it into little squares like a cake, but bread. It is what it is. We got loads. Got my sandwich bread, got them on my final proof, and now I'm doing this. My daily loaf is about to go in. The oven is, oop, I gotta. The oven, I just raised the temp. I got the Dutch oven in the daily, to get the daily loaf. My boys are making crafts over here. So the daily loaf's about to go in. I'm gonna make these and let them rise and make some hamburger buns. Hopefully, worst comes to worst, we can just put it on the sandwich loaf if these don't turn out. I'm not. Why my butter's melting. I still haven't dealt with my jars. I've had a lot more things going on with that triple batch of bread. 3 tablespoons butter into our yeast. You can really see the, you can see my jars. You can really see the yeast bloom on this. It's some active yeast, even though it's since 2020. Oh, I got an egg in here too. Supposed to get that egg mixed up. Half a cup of flour. I did not really show you guys the recipe. I'm showing you what I'm doing, but not telling you the measurements. I will have this recipe linked below. These were a hit. My family loved them. They were so good. My husband was a little bit skeptical, but he loved them so much. They're delicious. But because that was my first time making them, I will link the recipe so you know exactly what to do. But this is just me making them up and doing my thing. I'm going to get this dough off this hook, and then I'm going to put olive oil in the bowl. And it's just kind of standard bread practice. You get it in there so the dough doesn't stick to the bowl. Some people switch the bowl. I don't. For its first rise, I just let it be in that bowl, and the olive oil keeps it from sticking to the sides.
Hi, my name is Zach. I'm a middle child. Pumpkin bread. This one's full too.
Okay.
One more I can fit.
Yeah, let's see if we can fit it. There you go. You can.
I have a scraps.
You got it.
Mom, could I have the other half of crumbs?
Batch. He's saying the other.
Oh, there's 3 and there's going to be 3 crumbs?
We'll see.
Yeah, they got so much crumbs. Yeah, I didn't.
Like, can you go like this?
More. Now we're gonna put it in freezer bags so it can go in the freezer. Do you think you can do this? Do you want me to do the first one? Okay. Boop. Shape it a little bit. Tuck, tuck, tuck. About to begin. Alright, as the night gets longer, the hair goes higher. So I just pulled my sandwiches loaves out. They're okay. I think I didn't let them rise enough one time. So Mary says to put some butter. Kitchen's getting messier and messier as we go. To put some butter on it. I don't know what's wrong with these things. Apparently I'm having an off day. Put the butter on top to keep it soft. I did have decent success with my, well, we'll see when they bake. Cover these up. let them rise for a little bit. This is a marathon of a day. I'm supposed to take these out, I forgot. Well, came out of the oven, or the pan, that's good. I don't know, guys. So dense. I just don't think that these are going to turn out good. I think they're going to be very dense and not fluffy. And I need to try again tomorrow. I can't do it again tonight. The daily loaf turned out good. Pumpkin cake bread turned out good. These hamburger buns look promising. We'll see how that goes. And the snowstorm has started. Yes, it has. And now it's time to had the kids come in. Zay was helping me. I think he introduced himself to you. That he was helping me put away the pumpkin bread. And my other two are helping do dishes and helping spruce. It's a family affair. Family affair. Okay. I'll come back and show you my hamburger buns. We need a win. I forgot I need to put flour on my...
Dad, stop being so nice.
Guys, I said I needed a win earlier in this video because it was a rough day in the kitchen on some areas, you know what I mean? And these buns were the win I needed. They were so good. They were a hit. My family was a little skeptical about homemade buns, and I didn't know if they were going to turn out. They turned out fabulous. My family loved them. They couldn't believe how good they were and how much better they were than store-bought buns, which is a huge win in my book. So now Mary's Nest says you can freeze these up to 3 months, which is gonna last us all summer. So the next plan is to make a big batch of them one day, and just that's all I make that day, and just knock them out and put them up in the freezer, because this is when you can start falling back on the grocery store buns, is when it's summertime and you're grilling out and you just need a burger bun and you go to the store and grab it. But if I have these in the freezer, I can pull them out the night before or the morning of and save myself that trip to the store and give my family a much better option than a store-bought bun. Now this sandwich bread, on the other hand, is another story. This is a bow knife I got from Smoky Mountain Bow Knives. I got it off Etsy. I'll see if I can find the link below. The quality, he made it to order. It's so beautiful. It just glides through the bread. You never have to sharpen it. It's the best knife on the face of planet Earth for bread cutting. This sandwich bread is a no-knead bread. I have since found, because this was filmed back in March, it's now the middle of May, I have found a kneaded bread recipe that actually has less touching. It's not as much as a hands-on bread, and I really like it. I need a kneaded bread. It is more fluffy and beautiful, and it just tastes better. So we have since scrapped doing this recipe. I tried it one more time and it turned out the same way, and my sister tried it and she didn't like it. It just was a schmess. So I found a way better bread recipe that I like way more, and that'll be in a video coming up. The burger buns turned out so good. So my family's here, music is going on, snowstorm's here. We're gonna eat dinner. Thank you guys so much for following along, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.